our very nation, Bangladesh, who is now trying to save itself, create an impact on the world economic scale. However, the Middle Eastern war between US, Israel and Iran has caused a very high amount of distress amongst our citizens here in Bangladesh. Continuously, we see the queues at the petrol stations, at the filling stations, stretch out for more than a kilometer. It is important to understand the goal of rationing. However, the scare behind not having or not finding enough energy or enough oil in the coming days is a matter of societal concern, as people are looking forward to welcoming the Bengali New Year later in this month. How much of this issues will affect common Bengalis? And that is the topic I want to ask in the studio with Ahmed Alvi. The impacts of global warfare, how it puts on to Bangladesh. Let me give you a contrast here. When the Ukrainian war with Russia had begun, 89 BDT, Bangladeshi Taka, was the price of octane back then, and it had increased to 128, with slightly going down over several months. However, now we see that there are queues, there are the depots are trying to ration out various petrol stations. Say, for example, if a filling station required 20,000 liters, they'd be supported with 10,000 liters, half of their capacity. So all of this combined, where does Bangladesh stand in your perspective?
Okay, so there's something also that should be admitted.
Please.
You can actually get a full tank. You just have to bribe them, unfortunately. But that entire system is kind of in the dust. But the point is, I think people need to be more aware, right? Like, rather than just giving out policies just to restrict people, right, from living out their daily life. Like, if you don't understand the global impact that's going on, right, and the reason why oil prices are rising, like why we have to ration now, because I don't think the general citizen actually has an idea on why all this is happening. For them, it's just something bad is that, oh, there's a war abroad and we're getting affected somehow. I think people need to understand, like, that we are in also a position where we can't actually get our resources outright. And there has been some barriers, you know, from Qatar and from also Iran. And I think the point is, even though we need to ration more, I think we need to maybe walk more, take more rickshaws, but also understand, like, rationing is, like, it's something we need right now because we have to. But the way we should look at it, at least from my perspective, is even though we might lose this resource in the coming days, but it hasn't happened for now. So until that happens, we need to, let's say, ration.
Look for alternatives, of course.
Right. But we also remember in COVID when people panicked, right? And they would stock up. But it was the worst that people feared that never really occurred, right?
Right.
So I think in the similar sense, the worst won't occur that the people are imagining. So I don't think people should just tend down, not even their travels, but just maybe the usage of, let's say, cars and buses, and unless if it's like work related, or unless if it impacts them financially, let's say. So they should cut down on their leisure when it's related to, I guess, the oil supplies.
Of course, and it's not just that you mentioned it somehow affects us. There is another plateau, whether you would feel comfortable talking about it just very briefly. The Middle Eastern nations that holds a huge number of expatriate Bengali population who are sending remittances to Bangladesh. Closing down of businesses there would have a negative effect of the remittances inflow into Bangladesh. How would you see this?
Right. So remittance inflow actually plays a great part in our economy. It actually fuels our government revenue in a great way. And that is actually an issue. My main issue would be actually if something worse happens, right, for their lives. Economically speaking, it's unfortunate, but so far, I guess this is the current conditions as it is. So I'm sure moving to there, starting up as they were starting up their lives, was hard enough as it is. Moving back, moving somewhere else would be difficult as well.